name is Tracy Sinclair. Welcome to Coaching in Conversation. Coaching in Conversation is a chance to discuss and explore not just how we can keep developing and maturing as coach practitioners, but also to consider how coaching is evolving and its future potential and place as a powerful vehicle for human development in today's and tomorrow's world. I'll be sharing some of my own thoughts on these topics, and we will also hear from some great guests from around the world who bring their unique experience and perspectives. Hi everyone, it's Tracy Sinclair here with another episode of Coaching in Conversation. This is a very special episode actually, because this is to commemorate and to acknowledge one of my clients, Wärtsilä, who have recently been awarded the honourable mention in the ICF 2025 Impact Award in the category of Distinguished Organisation. And this is such an exciting thing for Wärtsilä to achieve, as they have invested a great deal of time and energy and effort and intentional input to nurturing and developing a coaching culture over a period of time. And so I have great pleasure in having a conversation with Wärtsilä's Learning and Leadership Lead, Elina Välimaa. And she and I have worked closely together over the last 2 or 3 years in service of supporting the organisation to get to this point in time. So I think anyone who is listening to this who is perhaps an internal coach or works within an organisation providing external coaching services, or also for organisations listening to this who are thinking about coaching culture and what it might do for them, then this conversation would be a really useful one to listen to in terms of how Wärtsilä have gone about this process, some of the key characteristics and key milestones and inputs that they have put in place to get to the point where they are today. And of course, it's an ongoing journey. They are continuing with their pursuit to continue to nurture that culture and the impact that coaching has as a strategic resource towards that. So, with no further ado, please listen to this lovely conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, Elina, thank you so much for coming and talking with me today. I'm so excited about this conversation because I want to wish you once again so many congratulations on achieving the honourable mention in this year's ICF Impact Awards for the distinguished organisation around your capacity to have built and continue to build coaching culture. So many congratulations for that.
Thank you, Tracy, and congratulations to you too. I mean, you have been an incremental part in this of us getting the award. So I think we wouldn't be there where we are today without you.
Oh, well, I think you and I like working with each other, don't we? So it's an absolute pleasure, absolute pleasure. And how does it feel to have achieved this, and what's the vibe, if you like, in the organisation about it?
Well, personally, I mean, it feels good, of course, but I mostly feel good for other people in a way. I feel really proud of the organization and what they have accomplished. So, and also that it's an external recognition of the hard work. And at the same time, I feel that there's so much more to do. So I guess they're kind of never satisfied. So in a way, it's a milestone, but on the other hand, it's kind of already history. So I'm thinking forward.
You're already thinking of the next milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in terms of milestones, then, where did all of this begin, Elina?
It began, I think, in 21, 22, 2021, 22, where we were developing leadership culture at Wärtsilä. And we also had a new strategy. And one key element there was the kind of leadership that will kind of take us to the target position. So there was also in the strategy itself, it's already defined what kind of leadership we would like to have and what kind of culture we would like to have. And of course, the leadership is then enabling the culture from one angle. And there, when we defined our leadership ambition or the kind of to be state, so then within our leadership model, there, coaching is really kind of one of the key competencies, and so that's when we started to kind of develop the organizational coaching culture and coaching competence, and from different angles. And myself, I'm a BCC coach at ICF, and so it was quite familiar with me with kind of the competencies, how they're defined and so forth. And also I had access to ICF's studies on how to build coaching culture, and basically we just took their kind of from their material, kind of what kind of levers you would need to have a strong coaching culture, and started to build that.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I found as well that the resources that the ICF have done around their research into this are they're valuable sources of guidance and information, aren't they? Of course, as well as the different case studies from people that have won these awards in the past. I'm also thinking, even though coaching is so widespread and well known now, there are still organizations that don't have the awareness of coaching. And obviously Wärtsilä is very fortunate that they have you, who is a credentialed coach, a PCC, as well as some of the other colleagues in Wärtsilä. What would you say to those organizations perhaps that are listening to this who haven't done anything and are thinking, okay, well, why should I do this? Why should we invest in this? What do you think is important about that?
Why should anyone invest in development, people development, or leadership development? I think it's really it's really it's really crucial for building a company culture and culture that's sustainable, and in a way that there is enough skilled people leading others who also have skills in self-leadership, so that kind of like builds the system that goes, feeds itself in a way at the end of the day. So I think it's never in vain to invest in people development. And of course, the key thing is you kind of like agree on what you are going to invest in, and what is the kind of the ambition. So the definition of what good looks like is really important. And then also understanding where you are today. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of build a roadmap based on that. So not kind of, throwing money to one place or another, and just for the sake of kind of like somebody saying that, hey, I need to do this, or I need to do that, but in a way like really having a plan around it. So it's not for the individual's sake only. Of course, the individual is benefiting as well, but the organization and the system is benefiting. So we are kind of like, hey, this is the direction we're going to go, and we want to put money into these kind of things, and that's what we're going to measure as well. So there's a plan, there's a strategy. I think that's really important. So regardless where you start from, Because if you have a plan, you have a direction, you can systematically then go to that direction.
Yeah. I mean, that what's really coming out for me from what you're saying there, Elina, is that it's not leadership or people development just at an individual level or at a team level or a department level. There's something systemic here around thinking about how can this development, how can coaching almost be used as a strategic skill, a strategic resource to inform leadership culturally across the organization. So it's very macro, not just micro focused.
Yeah, and I think that is maybe the pitfall many times we are falling into. So we are more looking at the micro. Of course, the micro matters because the individual experiences, they matter. And the kind of joy and the people get out of coaching, being a coach or coachee, that matters. And that's, of course, that's the primary motivational factor then for the individuals. But if you just focus on that, it will never be strategic nor systemic in nature.
So I'm getting a sense then of it's a blend of both. You've got some tactical interventions as well as this more systemic, holistic plan. So what would be some of the key building blocks almost that you at Wärtsilä decided to put in place from the beginning? How did you start all of this?
We started with building an internal coaching community. So building coaching competence from within. So, and kind of understanding that there are different modalities there as well. So you have those coach practitioners, you have leaders as coaches, and of course individual contributors that can also be coaching. So we understood that we have different, let's say, target audiences even, and we started to kind of offer. Started to build a coaching community for those that are interested in the professional development of themselves as coach practitioners, and offered cohorts of where they could kind of get their ACC level trainings in place, and then also we offered a way of getting internal coaches. So we have a way that anybody can apply for a coach, and then you will be matched with a coach. And so we have that method in a way and that mechanism in place. So, and that has allowed many people to kind of go through their coaching certification path and to be able to certify us as well as they have reached to the 100 hours of coaching by coaching their their colleagues, or of course not someone close by, but more farther away from in the organizational setup. And of course there's always a coaching contract in place and confidentiality and all the kind of ethics. ICF code of ethics is being enforced there. So that has been like one mechanism that has been kind of building up the momentum, because these people are of course from different parts of the organization, and they have been then kind of bringing the kind of message to their own organization and being really keen on telling about coaching. Then, of course, leaders as coaches. We have a large population, 2,650 globally line managers. So, of course, leaders are more than line managers. But if we just think about line managers, we have a big bulk of them as well. And then kind of addressing them, providing them with coaching trainings and abilities through different programs and so forth. So that has been one key element. And of course, it's kind of like starting from the top of the hierarchy as well. So our senior leaders being coached themselves and so forth, and kind of understanding what coaching is. So I think it's important that people get the experience. So you can learn by being coached, you can learn by being a coach, you can learn in a training. So there are so many different ways that you can learn coaching. So we have done those kind of things. And really, of course, I would say that you need to have some level of understanding in the senior leadership of the organization, that they can at least, they understand the benefit of it, at least to some extent. Yeah, so I think that's really, really important.
The ICF in their work with coaching cultures has identified a number of characteristics of an organization that sort of indicates coaching culture, and you've just shared two of them there, which is access to all, which is a really important one, is that, and it always struck me about the way you've set the system up, that anyone can ask for coaching, anyone can apply to get these skills as long as they get a sign off, from their line manager. So open access is a characteristic here, isn't it? And the other one that you've mentioned is the senior sponsorship, that coaching, it has to, in order for it to become systemic and cultural, you've got to have senior awareness and commitment, genuine, visible, active commitment. And that's, again, something that's always struck me is very much there with Wärtsilä.
Yeah, so I think it's a kind of a good combination of top down and bottom up. So there's kind of like, and working with different modalities and different, parts of the organization. So it has been a quite good way of approaching it. However, I would say that it's not something that you do in kind of in a couple of months. So it requires stamina and endurance in a way that you just keep going, because none of these kind of, if you are building a culture, it takes time, and you need to be consistent with it. Yeah. Well, as you've said, you started this process in 21, 22. We're now coming on to the cusp of 26. Exactly.
And it's not done, is it? We can talk in a moment about next steps, but this is a long-term investment in the organizational leadership and culture for sustainable success, isn't it? This is not a project. No. It's a way of being, I would say, almost. So what might be some of the, apart from the impact awards, of course, but what might be some of the highlights for you in terms of, I don't know, the impact that you feel it's had, or feedback that you've had? What would be some of those high points? I think it's just like hearing people talk about these kind of things, and kind of like in some Viva Engage groups, or there are some people who are kind of like commenting on, oh, I went to this training, I learned this, and hey, or kind of like the way people are talking about these things nowadays. So I think that is and it's not, they don't know, they are not talking to me, they are just talking with each other, and I might overhear something, and I'm just like so glad to hear that, hey, the kind of like the seeds have really kind of grown to be beautiful plants, and so people are just like kind of like, they are just they are enthusiastic, they feel that they are kind of like they're in a good place, they're kind of just unprompted saying things like, oh, we talked about that, that leader, and what kind of a leader I would like to be, and he was so good in coaching, and these kind of things you just hear anecdotally, and I think that is kind of a sign of the culture maturing. And I think that is just when you're kind of like, you're just like, I'm so happy to hear that, and just happy to be like in the sidelines, and so there's almost like that positive grapevine, that the grapevine is saying positive things about this. And one of the, in all of the work that we did, Elina, to pull the submission together, one of the things that really stood out to me was your engagement results, your engagement scores. And the reason I say that is partly because we know from other research that coaching is a very powerful way of supporting employee engagement. There's a good correlation, if you like, between higher engagement scores and a coaching culture. However, I'm also aware that at this point in time, engagement scores globally are very low. Not in Wärtsilä, I mean in the world. Uh, Many organizations are experiencing big challenges with their engagement scores. And so that's always been something around Wärtsilä that I have really noticed at that level of us pulling things together in the submission, but also on a day-to-day basis when I connect with those people on the trainings. It's just so apparent how connected and engaged Wärtsiläans are. It really does feel like a community, and people's presence in the sessions is great, their attendance is great. Obviously, sometimes people have to go to an urgent meeting or something, but that feels like a very, very strong characteristic that you have within the organization, that's, very powerful.
Mm. Yeah, of course we are very happy about it. And this year, even like when we had pulse surveys, the trend is even more is still increasing. So and very high also participation levels as well. So many people kind of are also participating in the surveys. So that has not decreased. On the contrary, and I think it's also like it's many things. So in a way that we have been systematically developing the people side of things and really kind of highlighting it, and then we are just doing kind of it continuous may I say grinding in a way. So it's like it's not the kind of next shiny object, but it's kind of like the basic small things in everyday life, and trying to do those better. So I think we are trying to kind of really follow up on things, and if we have areas where we are kind of scoring lower in the engagement surveys, we have actual really proper action plans on those. And so I guess all of that is something that people are noticing and understanding, and it's not like something that one day is like this and the next day totally opposite. So it's a kind of a you have to have that dedication every day.
Yeah. Well, we're back to this long-term intention, aren't we? Not just something that's for this month or this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we've talked a bit here about all of the great things and the things that you've done and the outcomes. If I were to flip that over for a moment and say, with where you are now with all of this, is there anything that you would have done differently, or that you would have done when you didn't, or you wouldn't have done, something that you think, if I had this over again, I would do something differently?
Not really. So I think that the main steps we took, they were the right ones. Of course, like what was the speed? Could it have been faster? Maybe not. So I think we have been focusing on the right things, and of course it's like you can always do more. You can always kind of reach out to more people. You can kind of, but there's a cost to that as well. So I think there's also like, in a sense, it's good to kind of like have a steady pace with things, and not to kind of have too much pressure, and because people also, they need to kind of understand these kind of things for themselves. It's one thing for me to say, hey, coaching is really cool and you should do it more often. But the other thing, that if you kind of figure out that yourself, and you kind of get the insight, so then the change is really kind of sustainable. So I think we have given the kind of time for people to reflect and kind of like then come up, with them, kind of, okay, this is a good thing. So we have not pushed anything onto people. So I think it has been a good choice. But of course, sometimes you get more leverage if you kind of do it like, more with force. But that has not been our way. I think it has been more pull.
Yeah. There's a couple of things there that you're saying. One is or that I'm hearing from what you're saying rather, is this organic, allowing it to develop organically rather than some kind of a mandate and forcefully driven initiative. And also you said about, well, could it have been done more quickly? And yet perhaps it's the pace and the more organic, slower pace that is better. Because I'm thinking of things like, I don't know, growing fruit and vegetables. When we try to force the growth of things, they don't always grow so well, do they? And sometimes things need to be done at their pace. And that strikes me as what you're doing at Wärtsilä, which is hard perhaps in today's world where everything has to be so fast and so, implemented as of yesterday.
Yeah.
Taking a more measured approach to this.
Yeah. And kind of meeting people where they are. So, because, there's always a kind of a journey that everyone has to take, and kind of like probably coaching is not something that you start off initially, but it's, for instance, as a leader. So of course, depending on your personal style as well, but it's something that you then might kind of realize that, okay, maybe my directive style is or it's not the style for every occasion, and then you start to kind of explore. So kind of like, I think there are those kind of shifts, and we can always say that, hey, have you thought of doing something another way? But if you're not there yet, you will not kind of take that advice. So I think it's always best when people are kind of getting the aha moments themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said a few minutes ago about there's always more. There's always more that could be done. So from where we stand now, what is the next phase of all of this for you and Wärtsilä?
I'm really kind of I really kind of believe that we need to move towards team coaching more. So from individual coaching, and of course that will not disappear, but the impact of it is limited. And then I think the future is with team coaching, and it's with systemic coaching as well. And I'm quite excited about the systemic approach myself nowadays, and really kind of shifting from high performance teams to high value creating teams. So teams that are creating value for their stakeholders. So I think that is really the way forward, and the collaboration aspect is key there, and coaching is a great tool for collaboration as well. So I think there's a lot to uncover there, and I don't know what it is exactly, but I think we need to improve and increase the level of team coaching capability as an organizational competence. That's for sure.
Yeah. I love this distinction that you're making between performance and added value. Could you say a little bit more about that? Because I'm mindful that some people might be listening to this thinking, well, increased performance is adding value, isn't it? But there's something else, isn't there? So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I think if you think about, okay, high performance is not going away, and it's I think for me, high performance teams is kind of like the team itself, like how the team is functioning, and the team members between themselves in a way, like, and if they have like a core purpose, that's easy, and everybody's kind of contributing to that purpose with their competencies. So I think that then you are kind of like in a one unit, one team, optimizing their performance. But then thinking about nowadays, most of the things happen between teams, and you have different members in the team that have different stakeholders, and then they are connecting to other teams, and also in value streams. The customer value is created within different parts of the processes and different teams. So I think the collaboration aspect there. So the true value comes out of that, so not only by optimizing the one unit, the one team. So I think that's the kind of the angle there. And many times it's like, okay, our team is working so well together, but it's the others who are not, but what's your role in that? So I think it's really kind of crucial that we kind of see the bigger picture of the system and how we can really work and add value to the system.
Yeah, gosh, I love that. It's that there's a parallel, isn't there, from one-to-one coaching to team coaching, and then team performance to multi-team performance and valuable interaction. So it's that systemic ripple again.
Yes.
Wow, how exciting, how exciting. So I'm mindful that we're perhaps coming to the close of our time maybe today, but what else have we not shared or discussed that you'd like to speak about for anyone who's wanting to listen about coaching cultures?
Maybe just like the angle of how anyone can coach themselves, and kind of like if that would be the aim. So think about what kind of an organization we would have if everybody would be able to coach themselves and really kind of be that self-aware. So that would be quite a cool place to be. And maybe with AI now, AI assistant on your side, so you can really kind of coach yourself in a kind of next level. So I think there's a lot to uncover there as well, and kind of like starting from the one unit, being the one person, and then of course team being one unit as well. But it all starts from the one person, and you can do a lot there. Every one of us can.
Gosh, my mind is reeling now with that. I'm thinking of, we have this idea of learning, a learning organization, which I know Wärtsilä has identified, with and connected with as a principle in the past. But I was thinking of the conscious organization, where everyone is so awake to themselves and their interaction on others, what that does, for that organizational consciousness, shall we say. It might sound a bit psycho-spiritual there, but there is something there about where does that take the system of the organization, isn't it?
Yeah. And because many things, in life, when you kind of like, when it comes to human suffering, even it's also like it all starts from yourself, how you see things. Of course, it's easier said than done sometimes, but still, like, there's a lot that you can do first by kind of reflecting on yourself and kind of thinking about, if the collaboration is not working with someone, what's my part in it, and so forth. So if we could do more of that, I think it will also enhance the other parts as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's very much evoked my thoughts, such food for thought around how we achieve that. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Elina. As always, it's such a pleasure to talk about this with you, and congratulations once again. It's delightful to work with an organisation like Wärtsilä, and I wish you all the very, very best as it goes forwards into its next phase.
Thank you, Tracy.
You have been listening to Coaching in Conversation by Tracy Sinclair, a podcast aimed at exploring how coaching is a vehicle for human development in today's and tomorrow's world. You can learn more about coach training and development at tracysinclair.com and follow us on social media. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a rating and review, and also share it with your networks to help us expand our reach. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.